High school, my parents were in their early mid-30s. My dad was 16 when I was born. To me, a stupid 17-year-old. I thought my parents were old people. I was 34 when my first child was born. I can't wrap my mind around that shit. Both of my parents were in their 40s when I was born. And it wasn't until I was 18, and they were near 60, that I realized that they were getting old. I'm 35 and have a 16 and 14-year-old. They are pretty good kids overall. I mean, they are rotten teenagers, but that's to be expected. It is pretty cool that I can still do stuff with them and not seem so out of place. We are, however, the youngest parents at our school, which is kind of odd for both us and the kids sometimes. So my mom had me when she was 18. I am now 18 and she is 36. She looks like she hasn't aged in 10 years and everyone thinks we're sisters. My dad, on the other hand, looks like he could either be my dad, or when we go out drinking, possibly my sugar daddy. We go to bars sometimes and I never get carded. I find it easy to empathize with the things she is going through because high school wasn't that long ago and I can remember very clearly what it was like. Also, having seen me struggle through my 20s as a young mom has definitely set her on a different path. She is a women's shelter volunteer, honor roll student, and has plans to go into law enforcement. It's definitely fun to go somewhere with them and watch as perverted society think you're a couple. This happened to me when I was about 15. My mom and I went to lunch and our server asked if the checks were separate or together. It was awkward but we laughed about it. But both my arms were broken, so there's that. It's pretty sweet actually. My son is 14 and he's almost 3 inches taller than me now and I'm the cool mom to all his friends. He's a really good kid and involved in anything and everything he puts his mind to. I often feel like it's the payback for enduring the amount of shit society threw my way when I got pregnant with him in high school. Teachers wanting me to drop out. Principal not wanting me to walk with my class because it would look bad for the morale. Duck your morale. I graduated high school and college with honors. My son knows my history, knows what I went through, and knows what he needs to do to keep it from repeating. He is though above all my son. He knows that too. I've known someone like this. A friend tried for a mother-daughter threesome. Did not work. My mom is 35 and I'm 19. She's definitely more in the know than my friend's parents when it comes to pop culture, and sometimes I feel like she's more wild than I am because she never had a chance to get it out of her system when she was my age. Based on what she's told me, having a child saved her future and we're really close. Not 30 yet, but my husband is. I'm 27. We had our first child when I was 16 and he was 18. She is 11 and has that preteen thing going on. We have been married 11 years and have a 10, 7, and 2 as well. It is definitely weird sometimes because most of our friends are running around with 1 or maybe 2 kids, toddlers, and our daughter is already wearing a training bra. Some cool things though are that we are still young and still cool to her some ways. We like video games and modern music. However, if I even remotely dance or hint at dancing I get the OMG mom you're so old. That's so embarrassing bit. She occasionally tells us how old and decrepit we are, her word not mine. But she also tells us sometimes how old her friends' parents are in ways like, so and so's parents are so old, like 45 and old like Nana. I am the product of a teenage mom. I could have gone the same way since it seemed to be a pattern on my mom's side. But given my upbringing, I knew what I didn't want. My mom and stepdad and that whole situation pretty much showed me what not to do. As it did with at least one of my 2 sisters. The jury is still out on littlest sister. So far so good though. That said, I was still young when I had my oldest. I was almost 23. I had married my HS sweetheart and we just felt that kids were naturally next. I don't really mind that I have kids a bit older than my friends' kids. My oldest will be 13 this year and it is killing me a little each day that goes by closer to his birthday. I will turn 36 shortly after. I am happy for him to be more and more independent, but I am still saddened that he will be officially a teenager this year. I am the teen baby. I can honestly say my mom is the best woman I have will ever meet. I'm 18 now. I had a wonderful childhood. She worked SRAs for me and gave me everything I ever wanted. I know this didn't really answer the question. Just had to give a shout out to my mom. I got pregnant at 19 and gave birth 2 months after I turned 20. I'm 29 with a 9-year-old now. I am the youngest mom at my kiddo's school. But only BC, it's a beach city and it's quite pricey to live here. I'm sure if I went inland I would meet younger parents. It's pretty awesome that when I'm 38 I'll be done raising kids. Provided I don't have any more. It's nice to have a 9-year-old BC. I wake up most mornings with a cup of coffee that she brewed and put honey and milk in for me. We get our nails done together and she's like a little best friend. She is ridiculously well behaved and I just am so happy that I refused to abort her like at least 5 people suggested, and to offered to pay for. Her dad owes just under $60,000 in support. He was 19 too and he handled it poorly. Anyway. It's awesome having a preteen at 29 BC. She's like my little buddy and she lights up my life. I'm 37 with a 16 and 14 years old, and a 9 years old too. It's awesome being my age with teenagers. I have tons of energy compared to some of my older counterparts. When I coach my kids' youth volleyball, basketball or soccer teams, I can still get on the field and play with them. I absolutely love schooling teenagers. Teachers are usually friendlier to us because they see us as similarly aged. I feel for my friends that are now dealing with their ticking biological clock and fretting about marriage and babies. The biggest negative has been trying to find and develop worthwhile friendships. Most parents tend to create friendships of convenience that center around the age of their kids. Thus, we often feel left out because we are still pretty young and active. And we don't fit the mold of the typical parents of a 16-year-old. While we didn't initially plan to be parents as teenagers, I don't regret it at all. Also, I look forward to 7 years from now when my kids will all be out of high school. And we'll be 44 years old empty nesters. Was 19 when I had my son. You think you'd be generationally closer to them. There is a chasm between a 14-year-old and a 33-year-old today. I feel it's wider than between 14-year-old me and a 33-year-old then. Mostly due to technology. The years have not been kind. But it's sort of a blessing that I can pass as early 40s. I don't get as much stigma as I used to when he was younger from teachers, scout leaders, etc. I also have 2 small children. I love them dearly. But I will be the parent of an under 18-year-old for almost 30 years equals. I had my son when I was 15. He's 14 now and I'm 29. Everyone thinks we're siblings. I look younger than my age. Most PPL think I'm 21-25, so that doesn't help either. Most of his friends' parents are well into their 50s, so I don't exactly hang out with them or know them real well. I have had PPL question whether I'm his parent or not, mainly cause I'm younger. We'll probably get confused for GF and BF when he's in his 20s. Both kids were accidents. I love my sons nonetheless. But turning 30 this year, and if my kiddos move out when they are 18-20 years old, being early to mid 40s will be glorious. I was 19. Wife was 18. Kids are now 25 and 21. Son just graduated Navy Nuclear Power School, regarded as one of the most difficult curriculums in the world. Daughter is married and on her own, no kids. So sitting at 44 and 42. We're empty nesters, let's sour to crazy Frenchies. Life is good, man. Edit, wow. Well, this one blew up beyond what I ever thought. Thank you all for your congratulations and kind words. As you can imagine, we're unbelievably proud of him. Finally, a post I'm qualified to comment on. Had my daughter when I was 17. She was always proud that people mistook me for an older sister. She was not a rotten teen. And I'm not sure why. I certainly made enough mistakes parenting her. She's 28 now and we are very close. I'm 32 and my wife is 36. We have a 16-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 4-year-old and a newborn. I'll be honest. Having a new baby at this age is exhausting. Yeah, it was scary the first time around, but we had the energy to cope back then. It does help though that they are all great kids. I have to work pretty hard, anywhere up to 90 hours a week, to keep up with the bills, but it allows my wife to stay home so the kids always have one parent around at all times. My father died when I was 7, so hopefully I'll have more years with my kids than I did with my own dad. If I could give any new parents one piece of advice: buy a dining table. It's probably the most important thing in our house. Being able to sit down and eat together as a family is what keeps us all sane. My wife and I are in our mid-30s and we have 3 teenagers. 17, 14 and 14, not twins. Different marriages. Our oldest graduates this year and I'm excited for her to become an adult and start college. In 4 more years, my kids will all be in college and we will be empty nesters. I'll 40. And for some reason that makes me feel awesome because we will have a long time to enjoy our middle years without kids. Obviously, we'll always be there for our kids as they go through adulthood. But now we can go travel and not have to worry about what we are going to do with the kids. I'm 35 and my son is 16. I like him. It's pretty good to know that when he's 18 and off to college that I'll only be 38 and have plenty of time to go have fun. I didn't miss out on parties and drunken shenanigans. That's not my style. I've already got an established career, so I'll get to go do some stuff that there's no way I would have been able to afford or enjoy as a 20-something. On the other hand, I'm not sure what I'm going to do without him. It's just been Ma and him for so long. He's kind of my partner in crime. I get a little panicky if I think about it for too long. I know he needs to go out there and live his life. I've raised him to be a pretty good dude and I trust that he will be okay. I'm just not sure what the hell I'm supposed to do with myself when he's out there on his own and not home hanging out with me. No more weird teenage boys hanging at my house. Nobody to clean up after. Nobody to nag about the laundry. Nobody to DJ for me while we go drive aimlessly on back roads all night. Nobody to laugh at my stupid jokes. Nobody to fuss over. On another note, I'm 16 and my mom is 31. Her family completely wrote her off and didn't talk to her for years. My dad is 32. And his family was super psyched about having a baby. My family lived with my grandparents until about 5 years ago when my dad finally got his degree. I actually like having these young parents because they have tons of energy to do things with me I've never seen any of my friends' parents doing. My parents had me as seniors in high school. Aged 17 and 18. I'm in my 20s now and finishing college. But growing up was rough. Both parents struggled to make money. They didn't stay together. And as a kid I always felt behind on things. My friends had nice clothes, fun houses, cool toys, and a supportive family. I was making my own dinner at age 7 while my mom was working and I would see my dad about twice a month. I grew up feeling like a guest in my own home because I was always bouncing from house to house so often. Now they are both remarried with kids, have successful jobs and happy lives. We have a good relationship. But I can't help but feel like I'm just a leftover artifact from their troubled past. Like they're just waiting for the day for me to graduate college and become totally financially independent so they can wash their hands of me. I'm not a parent, but my mom had me when she was 15. And she loved it. She said obviously there were relative struggles, but overall it's not something she regrets. It's also been nice to be a kid of a younger parent. It's easier to be close to them and they can relate more to me. It also seems like I just have a lot more fun with my mom because of how young she is. I never felt like she was a bad mother either. She pushed me to do well in school and is paying for my university right now. She had 4 kids by 30 and loves it. My mom had when she was 18. I don't think she ever actually grew up. Every time I visit her, I was passed around as a kid between family members, but never lived with my mom. She seems just like a child. Now I'm 18. She is pretty cool, but I honestly don't think she's a good mom. I feel horrible for saying that. I love her to death, but still. It's pretty surreal. I had my son when I was 16 and he's now 18, turned last month. He's a good kid in his way to college for engineering. Is in the robotics club. Speaks 3 languages. And plays the violin and bass. His mother and I got married and had another little girl who is 10. She's like art and is generally more of the creative type. All in all, while there are some things I and my wife missed that I can't get back, I wouldn't change it for the world. They're here and they're pretty terrific. We got extremely lucky though, and I wouldn't recommend being a teenage parent as a life choice. The struggle was very real and a lot of near breakups between my wife and I. If you get through that though, you can have something truly great on the other side.